Se o silêncio dissesse tudo, sentimento bom que me leva pro outro mundo. A vontade de te ver já é maior que tudo. Não existem distâncias no meu novo mundo, tipo coisas da sétima.
And what's up? This is episode 60, Clint Cronin show. We're in Sunnyvale. It's a night of champions. We've got some competitors here from One World Jiu Jitsu. Starting right here, we've got David Mitchell.
Waving.
We got the undisputed champion of the world.
Masters Open World Champion.
World champ.
World
champ.
Of the Grand Prix Variety.
Oh, please don't find me.
That's Jason, the Yago. I think the Giant Killer. Giant Killer. Jason Yago.
Giant Killer.
That sets up a lot of things.
Swag.
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 Tell Swagoo, man.
Swagoo.
Not Swag.
Okay, Swagoo.
Swagoo.
All right, and we got Ty right here, Tyler Shew. Both David and Tyler will be appearing at the Fight to Win Pro event in San Jose, California this coming Saturday. Tickets available. Friday. This coming Friday. Edit that. We'll make sure the crew edits that because there's a crew. So that'll be coming up this coming Friday. Tickets still available. You can contact them directly. David Mitchell, Tyler Shew on the Book, Facebook, or you can probably get them right there at the Santa Clara County Convention Center in Santa Clara, California. And Gary, how do you pronounce your last name? Menezes.
Oh, really?
I would have said it with more
You
E.
would have said Menezes.
I would have.
That's how literally everyone else says it. Yeah.
What nationality is that? Where is it?
Portuguese.
Portuguese. Okay.
From India.
Okay. Oh, like
That's
Goa.
Yeah.
Goa. The a little Goan Portuguese fact that Vindaloo is actually of Portuguese origin, right? Vinho de Alho. It was like a wine of garlic. So I heard this from a guy who a guy told me. Right, boom. Anyway, these guys have been competing a lot lately, except for one guy who we've been egging on to compete, and then he finally returned to competition after how many years is it?
4 years.
40, 50 years, something like that?
About 50 years, yeah.
And so as a white belt, you didn't have much success, right?
No, it was one and done.
So it was one and done.
It was crazy. Like I didn't hear anybody. I didn't know what was going on. It was just a mess.
So do you feel like having the smaller type gym environment atmosphere is a kind of like a stepping stone back into competition was advantageous? Or would you prefer a larger venue or?
I mean, I think it helped, but the thing is that last 4-year one, it was Gorilla too. So I mean, it's still a small thing. It's just like now, I mean, we've been doing a little more stuff, or at least I've been doing a little more stuff, and seeing all these other guys that like I'm more used to it now. So it's just like it's not as chaotic. Like I heard you and David and Mike's voices like clear as day. I didn't hear anybody else, but I heard you guys yelling, even though I was really tired and I didn't want to do any of it. I still heard you guys.
and earlier on, did you do a lot of anything competitive in school, athletically? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I wrestled when I was younger, but then again, that's like a whole nother lifetime ago.
For sure.
It's old man division. So
on the total opposite side of the spectrum here, you have David Mitchell, who's a stud wrestler. He's been competing as much as he can. We were talking a little bit before we went on the air, kind of about his earlier wrestling career and going out and doing the extra, open weight, his own, going up in a division and doing, basically coming back with 4 medals in a day, and this is being like a regular occurrence, and then. So do you feel like your preparation in wrestling, this is an obvious question, but I mean, has lent towards your success in jiu-jitsu competition? Does it feel like the same thing? Like very familiar?
I think it is somewhat familiar, but there's a lot of difference in it. My wrestling background, I spent a lot of time on the off season. There's in high school season, there's the normal high school 3 months, whatever it is, and then on the off season is freestyle and Greco-Roman. That's where I would go to any and every tournament that I could possibly do. I'd do my age group, which would be high school students, and then I'd do the open, which is adults. I'd do freestyle, Greco. I'd get sometimes 12, 14 matches in a day. It's so beneficial to just get mat time. Like Yago was saying, is when you first start now, it's chaos. It's you don't know what's going on. You don't know what your body's capable of. You don't know how to respond well. And when you put yourself out in the fire that many times, I wouldn't say I get desensitized to it, because I still get, nerves a little bit here and there, but you manage it a lot better. You're familiar with, going up and putting your all out there and then getting ready to do it again right after. I had one tournament where I had 16 matches in one day. I was going directly from one mat to the next, to the next, to the next. I think it was 6 or 7 matches in a row where I had literally no time off in between. And that just lends you to know what you need to be able to accomplish at that time when you're just dead tired. That's when your training of, your bread and butter, your ABCs really sets in, is, all the, the extra stuff that you try out. So that the competition, getting more and more competition leads to more and more competition success, because you're more comfortable in it.
Very cool. And so that the event with the 16 matches, what was your recovery time like for that? It must have felt like a car crash the next 2 days.
I mean, I was in probably the best shape of my life. It was when I was in a senior year of high school. Oh, nice. So I was, running double-digit miles every 3 days, 3 times a week. I was wrestling on a regular basis and stuff. So I probably took a couple days off for sure. But back in those days when you're made of rubber and, you don't know any better, you recover really quickly. It's a different story nowadays. I don't know. I might have to take off a week or 2.
So let's see. Gary did tournaments back to back, Saturday and Sunday. How are you feeling right now?
It was the first time. I trained today, and it was not great. It was okay though. It was okay. Could have been worse.
So no injuries, nothing nagging after either event.
Shoulders are weird. Just like posture issues that I've been working on, probably exacerbated by the tournament and like old injuries, things like that. But should be okay tomorrow, day after.
So you had probably some very specific stuff to work Monday, today, right after following. I mean, so did you take a chance to go back and look at the film or?
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Right. Absolutely.
And I took like 20 minutes of Jake's time after class, asking questions.
So some grip breaking stuff, dealing with. So you went against like a variety of kind of different guys over the course of those 2 days. You gi, did no gi, and then you did a gi tournament on the following day, Sunday, at Jiu Jitsu World League. The one opponent was, Kurt Osiander guy, very traditional style, very just sort of pressure oriented. So it's a lot of just dealing with just 101 jiu-jitsu stuff versus some of the no-gi stuff and some of the stuff at the previous day. The gorilla was it's straight ankle locks dropping down in guard. And so, I mean, if you had to compare in the 2 days, I mean, what was your biggest takeaway?
Well, I mean, the guys in the second day were better.
Really?
Sure. Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't know about all of them, no-gi included. Guys on the second day were better. I was tired on the second day. But even with that, against the guy who I lost to on Sunday, I was at my bread and butter A game spot with omoplata that I was working to from rubber guard, and I lost that because he passed in a way that I wasn't used to, that no one in the gym does. And I've been figuring out how to deal with that, but it's just technically he was better than me for sure.
It's very cool. Were you able to get anybody to sort of replicate that same pass? Were you able to get Jake to kind of walk you through it?
No, I didn't have time for that question today.
All right.
It's family.
Yeah, that's right. You kind of forget sometimes. A lot of these guys are there a lot, and it's this guy has to do all these other things related. Yeah. So, Tai, what do you fight to win pro?
Yeah, it's my first fight to win. I'm excited. It's going to be tough. The guy I'm going against, we've competed against each other twice. I beat him once. He beat me once.
Nice.
So it's be a good tiebreaker.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. He actually comes up in that sometimes too. So.
Oh, wow. And what academy is he from?
Marco Nas.
Oh, Nascimento?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah, absolutely. These event cards are stacked. I feel like I've already seen the time schedule for when everyone's matches are going to be.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, we have some training partners here, there's some friends here, and then so I've like already like made some little breaks for myself to like kind of, okay, maybe this half an hour I'm gonna try to just stand up and walk around or get some food or something.
It's kind of cool though. Seth, he kind of spread out the people. Like you would think that they would make all the big names go last, because then everyone would just leave after they go, But he kind of spreads them out in the beginning. Like, what's his name? Tanner Rice.
Yeah.
He's like in the middle. He's like right next to me. And then people are asking, why isn't he in the co-main event? And it's just because Seth's like, he wants to spread out the big names so people don't just leave after.
I was wondering if it was maybe down to ticket sales or something, because if you looked at the Nicole Evangelista, right?
Yeah.
She's a purple.
She's like that 17-year-old girl, right?
Yeah, she's Christina Barlan's protege out of Kyotera Academy. She competes all the time. She wins a lot. She's very talented. But she's I think she just got her purple belt, and just very recently, and that's closer to the main event than a lot of the other matches. It's in the third quarter of matches. Yeah, this is like this runs from 6 p.m. to damn near 11, doesn't it?
Yeah, 10:30, 11.
These are really long events.
Yeah.
Which if it wasn't for sort of how they mix it up, it would be a lot more difficult to sort of sit through. But they're pretty exciting events, man.
Yeah, I'm excited.
It's
kind of cool though. It's if you like a walkout song, like you said, and they get like a little smoke going. It's not like you got to pay for anything,
Do get it? No, you get paid.
No, I know. It's not like you had to pay to sign up.
It's the other thing. It's the other side of it. It's like, you actually get paid to do jiu-jitsu. It's like, well, who cares what happens? It's, you get paid.
It's cool because I gotta tell my mom, hey, I'm making money now, so I can drop out of school now. Yeah.
It's like, I'm making money, but by the way, all y'all buy tickets to see my fight. Because otherwise, like, I mean, the priorities if people that sell a ton of tickets, bringing them back in and all this.
Yeah.
Man, D Mitch over here, Mr. David Mitchell, you got a very game opponent as well. You got Benji Silva.
Yep.
He's a Heroes guy, or
no? He's a Kyotera.
Kyotera, that's right. It's Kyotera Academy. So, have you guys faced off in competition yet?
Nope. He's new to me for competing against. I haven't even rolled with him. He used to go to the open mat, but we never got a chance to be able to compete against each other. He's a very talented, dedicated, grappler for sure. He's gone out there. He's won Nogi Worlds twice. He won Pan Ams this year. So I'm really excited to be able to test myself against someone that is legit, is accomplished, has gone out there, and I'm ready for it.
It's a good matchup for sure. Benji's super talented, I should say, super game. You see him, basically on every event. He's either on the podium or, he's doing these super fights and stuff. So it's a pretty cool matchup. Didn't you guys kind of like brush shoulders at the Passion for Passion event? Yeah,
Passion for Passion was up in Portland, Oregon, with our affiliate gym with Andy. And Andy Hung with Dojo Outfitters did an awesome event out there. His yearly event is to celebrate, a joined interest in jiu-jitsu. And so this year, what they did was they had an 8-man no weight brown belt competition. And so he invited a couple, 8 people from different gyms and stuff like that. And I got to be able to compete in that. I lost to Jeremy Jackson in the semifinals in a very hard fought. We went to war. He's also a very amazing competitor in his own right. And Benji ended up winning it all. So, he showed a lot of interesting techniques. He's a very talented grappler, and this is going to be a no-gi though. That was in a gi. So we'll see what happens.
Ooh, that actually makes it a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that lead to potential advantages for me in a no-gi competition. I know he's very accomplished in no-gi, and that's kind of like a little bit more of his game, at least from what he's done in the past. But with my wrestling background and also my style is a little bit different, I think that there's going to be a pretty interesting dynamic to it, and I think it's going to be a really good show for everyone to see two styles clash.
So, is the rule regarding slamming still valid? I mean, is you can still slam in fight to win?
Yeah. So the rule set for no-gi is all submissions are legal, including reaping and heel hooks and basically anything, and all slams are allowed.
Very cool. So power bomb into straight arm lock, heel hook, whatever you can. What was the UFC move? Oh, it was a bridging suplex into an armbar or something.
That was Mighty Mouse.
The belly to back
Mouse,
into a. That was cool.
That was savage.
Did you guys watch UFC this weekend?
Yeah, it was dope.
Yeah, a lot of good fights on that.
Alistair Overeem.
Alistair, oh my god, I feel so. It's like scary just watching the other guy fight. Like,
I saw he did get knocked out, but you don't see the gravity of that strike. You don't see the impact of it until they showed it in the slow motion camera, and then like it looked like a normally a normal speed punch from like a normal person, but this thing he just laid it in there just so quick, and all you really saw when you watched the regular, just the first time around, was Alistair's head snap back. Yeah. And then he went in and just just a diving hammer fist on an already unconscious Alistair Overeem.
Like I think in this, right after when he hit that hammer fist, like you see Overeem's legs just lock out straight.
Bad.
It's like, oh, that's involuntary. That's, oh, jeez.
So
pretty nasty.
So
it was an awesome punch, but yeah.
That guy's a motherfucker. Like him and Stipe.
He's gonna give Stipe a run for his.
Don't blink in that fight. Yeah. That's not that fight unless they test the water. But I see him being very aggressive. He's just.
Well, I mean, Stipe's hittable. Like he tagged him a few times, but he doesn't want to get hit.
No.
Francis threw 2 punches. I think he landed. No, he didn't throw. He landed 2 punches.
So
fight.
So the post fight. The speeches from both guys, they were actually both pretty cool. Alistair, and even he tweeted afterwards, and in his post-fight interview and everything, the press stuff he did, he was very humble about it. He acknowledged, I got caught. It was very mature the way he sort of handled it, which was refreshing because you don't see that often. And I think Alistair's been, he's misspoken a couple times post-fight, or he thought he didn't tap or something. So seeing like the sort of evolved side, even after a knockout like that, they usually don't put a microphone in front of him. So that could have been a car crash. And then Francis was, basically he says, sorry for cursing, but he's like, fuck slavery. He's very political, but he
doesn't like slavery or racism.
Yeah, fuck racism.
Those are
fuck,
very controversial. But yeah, I mean, he took the time to just say it there. He's like, "This is my time."
Yeah, like modern day slavery exists, and that you have somebody out there, bringing it to light, and that would otherwise be ignored. It's cool when people take that, Big Pygmy, that they take the opportunity to actually step up and use that platform for more than just buy Powerade because Powerade pays me money.
Hey man, at 30, 40K to say that too. You can't hate on somebody for trying to make some money too.
I'm not hating. We're throwing back. I was just we were talking about that movie Idiocracy earlier.
Oh yeah.
And it's I don't like to get political, but like it's not even political at this point. It's kind of a cartoon.
I haven't seen it. What is it?
Idiocracy. We'll watch the news or just talk to anybody about what's going on in politics, like in this country, and it all came true. It's what is it? Trey Parker, Matt Stone. It was the South Park guys made that movie, wasn't it?
No, I don't know.
South Park guys made it?
It's either, yeah, I think so.
Ooh, we're gonna check. We can phone check.
I feel like it's got to be good.
Yeah, I would fact check that.
Fact check.
Idiocracy.
Maybe though.
Alexa.
No.
Who wrote the Idiocracy movie? Fucking thing. Don't buy these stupid gadgets. You don't. I got the Echo. Do you guys have any of these Amazon Echo things?
Nope.
So it makes a cool alarm clock. You just tell it, wake me up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it does it. And that's it.
So does my alarm clock on my phone.
Yeah, that's all I got out of this thing because the Black Friday sales, everything's $1 until it's $100. You're like, oh, I put the coupon code in, and then it's still $100.
So bringing it back real quick, Mike Judge.
Is Mike Judge. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So familiar.
Okay, but either way, very, very bright. Yeah, it wasn't really a musical. So if it was either
No
the
music, not Trey. That's-
well, yeah, if it's a musical, it's either the guy that does Family Guy or the Trey Parker, Matt Stone, because they both are into the whole musical thing. Someone's got to keep show tunes alive, right?
Yeah.
Some stuff can die.
So kind of.
Some stuff can die. It's fine. And so when's the Fight to Win Pro coming up? Is any other competitions? Gary's the man sort of like putting these on the calendar for us now.
Yeah, Gary.
Yeah, when's the next tournament?
So usually what happens is David Mitchell PMs me. And he's like, hey, Gary, there's this tournament coming up. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll put it on the Facebook.
Is that how you get it?
But you put it on the Facebook.
The upcoming tournaments are on the 17th. There's Jiu Jitsu by the Bay, which no one should go to because of the One World Potluck on the same day.
Oh, that's it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely not.
And David Mitchell is going to be at Nogi Worlds.
Nogi Worlds.
on
Nogi
December
Worlds.
16th.
One coming up.
Yep, 16th and 17th, Nogi Worlds, down in Anaheim, right by Disneyland and the new little convention center down there. It's going to be pretty awesome down. Pretty good back-to-back weekends for me.
I'll be hopping around the arena, so I'll be in the house.
They have actually the pre-schedule got released, and they have the black belts going on Saturday
Oh,
until the finals.
then that's the next.
And
day.
then they'll do that the next day, which I thought was pretty interesting. Kind of breaks away from the flow of the tournament and whatnot, but it also allows them to kind of showcase those final matches, which is pretty cool. They did something similar to that at Master Worlds, where they closed out until the finals and then moved it to a specific mat, especially for the absolutes, which was pretty sweet.
So I've seen them actually do absolutes once, even before the brackets, which is really weird. Before the actual black belt brackets, which seems totally like it doesn't make sense.
They did it before the divisions.
I've actually seen them do that once.
Interesting.
But and what they've been doing the last couple events, like Nogi Worlds this past year in Cow Palace, and then Worlds in Long Beach, they did a similar thing where the final, well, basically from semifinals onward, you have that day of resting, and those matches don't kick off until about midday on the Sunday. So they get what other divisions out of the way in the morning, and then from there, there was a huge show your roll line. They were doing a pop-up to get whatever the gi of the week was or month or day, and there was this huge line of people, and they're all just talking about this gi that's about to be released. They're so stoked about the hype of this gi. And the Meow Brothers are like, the one that's still competing as of this year.
Is it Zhao or how did? Yeah.
Joao?
Joao, yeah.
Because Paulo is still suspended, right?
Yeah, he's suspended for steroids. Yeah.
That was
Kangaroo tainted meat.
Kangaroo tainted meat.
What was it? What was the thing they said about John Jones? Like, what was the theory that the cocaine he did may have been laced with creatine, which could have been made on the same conveyor belt or same machine as another anabolic steroid?
So
Like that's the loops we're jumping through now to justify this.
he should be mad that somebody's putting creatine, cutting his cocaine with creatine.
Yeah.
I mean, what the hell?
That's fucked up.
I thought it was that he was taking like one of those like normal supplements, and then like it was laced with
Well, no, that was the story for 2 times ago. This time,
okay.
and the time before that was dick pills that had some clomiphene in them.
clomiphene.
Clomid, it's like a female, isn't it like an estrogen blocker?
I think they use it post cycle, right?
Sure.
That makes sense.
I don't know anything about that.
So the idea would be that if these guys were running something for a period of time and then they know they have to test, they have to get off, and so their systems don't completely crash because your body doesn't make testosterone once you bring it in from external sources. They'll take these different supplements and stuff or doctor prescribed shit. Back in the day, that was fine in the UFC, and then they said, no more, testosterone replacement therapy. So I don't know. With the Meow brother, the big controversy was the contract he signed with the IBJJF was the one in Portuguese, which apparently didn't say anything about those substances, but it's on the rules, like the ones everybody else goes by. So he still got suspended. So
Hasn't it been a year yet? I mean, that was a while ago. That was.
well, I don't think it's just a 1-year suspension.
I thought it was 2 years.
I thought it was pretty. Yeah, I thought it was pretty, like 2 or 4, something crazy.
Wow, yeah.
Didn't he admit it too? Like,
not in so many words, just that his.
But I feel like if he admitted that he was doing it, then his brother's probably doing it because they do everything together. They do the same thing: eat, sleep, train together. Okay, not sleep together, but the same thing.
Snuggle together.
Little cuddle.
Yeah, they got to be doing the same stuff. I mean.
I really don't know. I know guys like Kaio have been like very outspoken against like, testing and like people not using steroids. Like I know they do test on the, like, if you make black belt podium at Worlds or like one of these other high level tournaments, like you might get called out to be tested. Obviously the tests to be accurate or, the USADA type tests, these are like, in the five figures. Like it's for whatever reason they're very expensive. Like whatever the protocol and process is, it's supposed to be very expensive. So the $100 registration fee apparently doesn't cover everyone, but some of that money goes at least to testing the guys that make it to that top level. That's not saying there's not purple belts out there, whatever, that aren't juiced to the gills. Because you
I don't know why you're looking at me, Clint.
You can tell.
Don't look at me.
You can tell. No, if you go to any of these high level competitions, the guys that are able to go and just back to back to back to back, and like they're not young.
Oh yeah, there's for sure a problem. I mean, in any kind of athletics where people can take a quick fix or a quick boost to be able to compete at a high level, and especially in jiu-jitsu, it's not necessarily the guys that are ripped out of their brains. It's been used for being able to train just more often. Recovery is the biggest part for jiu-jitsu, beating up your body enough times that you can do those double days, triple days on a regular basis. Yeah,
like it's got to be a much lower number because the incentive isn't there. There's only a select few people that are actually out there making like money in jiu-jitsu. And it's a lot of it is just like, how do you market what you're doing as a business? Like, is there a gym? Is there merch? Are you competing in all this stuff? Like how the social media, the blah, blah, blah. It's a whole bunch of stuff. And, there's not many people doing it. It's like the incentive, of just saying like, I want all this stuff. And I mean, yeah, recovery and gas tank are the big reasons people are going to be doing it for jiu-jitsu. Like just being able to have the lung capacity into your body doesn't shit out halfway through. But I mean,
it's an easy way out for, instead of replacing hard work, training, maintenance of your body and stuff like that. It's easier to take. I mean, people do it to varying degrees. Taking supplements and that kind of stuff that are completely fine and legit, and you want to be able to provide your body with enough nutrients and stuff like that. And then people that keep going further and further down that rabbit hole. And I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if there's a pretty large contingent of people that are competing on a regular basis that are juicing to some degree, whether it's full on bull steroids or whatnot, or if it's just something that's a little bit flirting along those lines, because you're absolutely right. There's not as much of an incentive as there is in a lot of other sports, but there's still, ego. Whenever ego is involved with, especially males, you're going to see, and I'm not saying that females don't do it too, because there's probably some of those that do as well, but ego with males, and when there's glory involved and that fear of not being able to be successful and failure, so like that is a big motivator for people. I mean, I know in the wrestling world, there's not much to be had there. There's no real money involved unless you're, winning Olympic gold medals for the United States or other countries that have an incentive program. But, you're not making money by wrestling. And you even see the people in the gym, they're not lifting weights for anything. They're just lifting weights to look good, and they're still juicing. So
the majority of people probably on that, that are on the gas, are they're doing it as more of a hobbyist, just to sort of impress their mirror or fill some void, whatever. And yeah, no, women as well. I mean, in the bodybuilding world, it's crazy. You look at what female bodybuilders look like now as compared to 10, 20 years ago, and they're obviously on the gas. The whole industry is. And it's not even that it's this unspoken thing. Of course they are.
Yeah,
like it's crazy. We had one student, unrelated, that was unrelated. So I'm segueing.
Insert segue story here.
We had one student that was having. I got a call at like 9 or 10 the night before the tournament on Saturday. Like, hey, I think I'm overweight by like 5 pounds. And I'm like, Yeah. So
That's a lot.
well, it's 5 pounds. You fucking better. Do you know what to do? Well, I wasn't sure. Should I just not go? I'm like, oh no, you're going. You're for sure going because fucking we trained you and you're gonna make weight.
Is this a new student?
No. She's been around a little bit.
Okay.
She's been around a little bit. But I was like, all right. Yeah. Do you have Epsom salt? Yeah. You got rubbing alcohol? All right. Cool. You're on this. You can start there. Yeah, that's what you're gonna do before bed. You're probably doing cardio right now, though. A little bit.
How late was this? Like,
this was like at 9:30 at night. I'm getting this call. I was ready for my sleep.
Yeah.
So now I'm having to coach somebody's weight cut at 10 o'clock at night.
Man.
She wound up winning, doing very well.
Yeah.
But yeah, she wound up having to cut weight at like 10 o'clock at night.
put on a sweater, go to 24, do intervals, running, sauna.
Well,
Good.
you would hope that it doesn't get to that point.
Yeah, no, it's brutal.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah.
It's preparation.
We're talking about like there not being an incentive to do whatever. I mean, you're not getting paid. Obviously, you love jiu-jitsu, you want to win. Cool. The weight cut thing. This isn't the UFC, right? And a lot of people have this misconception, like, that I've got to just get under this quarter pound, and blah blah blah, and have this big advantage, dude. You're gonna be depleted as shit if you prepped and did everything right, and you're in the best shape of your life, and you've been dieting and doing all this great stuff. Cool. Otherwise, like, what is your healthy weight? Like, where are you strong? Where you look in the mirror and you're like, fuck yeah. Like, after training, feeling shredded, feeling good, eating good for a while. They could just be consistent. They should be able to maybe cut a pound or two and go, but you're weighing in right before you step on the mat, exactly before your match. I mean, there's been 30 seconds between my stepping on the scale and competing before, which, like, there's not much of incentive to do like a drastic weight cut, unless you were just drastically overweight or out of shape beforehand, in which case do it, but not to compete, because not dying is better than dying.
Oh yeah, I mean, I used to wrestle, so I used to cut a lot of weight, and even with wrestling, it's a little bit different in a scenario because on your tournaments you usually weigh in the morning. And then you have an hour or two break, and then they usually go, the lowest weight class and go through the biggest weight class. So you got one match, and then they go back around. They keep cycling through. So even though you might have 4 or 5 matches in a day, and this is not the freestyle Greco off-season ones where they're just trying to pound matches out as fast as possible. But during high school, you would just cycle through, and so you had an hour, sometimes a little bit more in between rounds. So even you can go and grab something to eat, get some rehydrate and stuff like that. And in jiu-jitsu, you're absolutely right. You could be going immediately, right away,
yep.
or you could be going for 2 hours and you don't know. And sometimes that's the hard part, because you don't know, can I eat something right now? I don't want it, because you could, if you know immediately you're going to go, you can kind of finagle that a little bit where you just, eat a little bit, cut down, drink some water, and you can kind of, work with it. But because of a little bit of the uncertainty, some tournaments are just running a little bit slower, or that match is going a little bit longer. It's a lot harder, and I always say, and I try to suggest people that are talking about weight cutting, especially like former wrestlers or people that have that conception, like, I need to get down to this, like you're saying, like I need to get down to the lowest weight as physically possible so I have an advantage. And I mean, the weight is not as important in jiu-jitsu. And if you are going to do it, because some people like to have that tournament to motivate them to get in good shape, lose a little bit of weight and that kind of stuff. Beautiful. That's great. Do it 2 months out. Do it, 3 months. I cut probably, 14 pounds off of my frame in a 6 to 7 week time frame. But I did it slowly, I did it responsibly, and it was fine. And that way, when I went to Master Worlds, like, I was fine. I had a 9 o'clock on a Thursday start, but I wasn't stressed out at all because I didn't have to cut, just to watch my weight a little bit, drop a little bit, and then boom, step on the scales and be ready to go. Because you cutting 6 pounds a day of or before, that's brutal on you.
Yeah, it's really easy at that point to get hurt. Concussions are way more probable because like you're already pulling the fat out of your body, because like most diets the MMA and jiu-jitsu guys go on are low fat. Even though you got the keto guys out there, a lot of them are low fat, and then you're pulling water out of your body because if it's a last minute thing, so you're dehydrated with very low fat content. that's what's protecting your brain is literally just it's fat and water up there. And just taking a takedown the wrong way or just an impact just to your sternum that's not necessarily directly to your head. That's the easiest way to get concussion is being dehydrated with like low body fat content. So I mean, I think there are advantages on carrying a little bit of extra. Just not. I'm not saying be fat, be obese, but like not being at that weight exactly all year round. Like you're not trying. You don't need an 8-pack 365 days a year. If you're like if you're not gonna if you're sitting there starving or just dehydrated year round. I mean, this is the easiest way to get sick. I mean,
I think it was the U.S. Open I did like 3 years ago. Like it's brutal. I have 5 pounds water weight morning of. Did not diet at all. Came in, weighed in, thought I was going to go at 9, ended up going at like 1, just waiting around all day, dehydrated,
dizzy.
thirsty. I felt like just dying.
Yeah.
And then I go and perform. I won my first match, but then I almost puked. I was literally about to puke. And then second match, I had absolutely no energy, and it was just the worst thing I've ever done in my entire weight cutting.
One of the quickest ways to zap your gas tank, besides the adrenaline dump, especially when you're first to competing, is cutting too much weight and not allowing your body to have that fuel. It's really tough on I did it earlier this year. I mean, I made that mistake again. I did the All-Star with cutting a little bit too much weight. That was in June, and I only took second place on that. And a lot of it was I didn't have a gas tank. Like I struggled a lot in the finals match for sure.
I think it's okay to kind of move up a weight class if you're on like the end of the spectrum. Like say you've been a blue belt for 3-4 years, and you're close to that purple, and it's okay to go up a weight class because your technique's already there. If you want to cut more and more if you're just starting out, because you want to get that little bit of advantage that you need.
Well, it's one thing if it's close to your weight, but you have a lot of guys that'll talk about like, oh, should I be at this weight or should I be at that weight? I was thinking of putting some more muscle on to compete. It's like you have to learn how to carry that weight. Like you have to train to be that weight. Like how do my body dynamics work now? Like if I'm trying to like change levels at this new weight, like you pop back up, now you're lightheaded. Like, hey, what happened? It's like you have to like learn how to carry that extra body weight because the more calories you expend, the more weight you are, it's like you're using more energy because you have to carry you first and then carry out that action second. It's like what you could do at 160 pounds versus 170 is different. It's for sure different. Like if you watch any of the performance of guys that go from welterweight to lightweight to then the featherweight 145 division, like you've seen a lot of people since they adopted new weight divisions in the UFC, how they move different, how they're like, man, this guy never gasped before. Now all of a sudden at 155 instead of 145 or vice versa, it's like it's different. Yeah, you really have to learn how to carry that weight.
I mean, you really got to train differently. I mean, you still get used to training a certain way at a certain weight. Like, let's say you're a guard puller, and you got a really good guard at, like, say, 168. Then you go with middleweight, it's a lot harder, and you're taking a lot more energy to carry those big guys out there because they're big dudes.
Oh yeah, a big piece of it is like you'll see guys that like to do knee shield a lot, and then if they go in absolute versus the regular their standard weight division, that knee shield had better be on point, like that top of your foot, like your toes had better be gripping that guy's, the love handle or like the back of the rib cage of the lat or something. Because if it's just kind of floating there, you get a bigger guy and they're just going to go squat, just splash right down on you, and that guard's gone. So
there's dudes with certain types of passes where they're going to stay there. They're not going to back out and reset. They know that your leg's going to tire out because they're bigger than you.
Yeah.
That knee shield can only stay for so long, and then it's going to give out eventually.
I think that ties into having different styles against different people. Like you mentioned it, you're not going to do certain things in the absolute division. That's why you develop a different style to roll in that different weight class where you can go against bigger guys, smaller guys, and that so on and so forth. And also to your point where you need to learn how to carry your weight at say 170 as opposed to 160. Absolutely. And also, especially if you're a competitor that does it on a regular basis, you should be competing at the weight that you want to do at your peak tournament too. Yep. Like a lot of people are like, oh, I'm doing these local tournaments at like 181s, 181 and a halves, and once Worlds comes around, I'm gonna cut down that extra 13 pounds to get down to 168, or maybe if it's not even the full 13 pounds, but they get down to 10 pounds. But you've been competing and training as a 181 pounder for however many months leading up to it. Why are you going to change that? I made I make the concerted effort to say, hey, I want to be at this weight, and I think that someone should reasonably stay within weight. And jiu-jitsu is also kind of weird because it's 13 pounds difference between the weight classes, so you kind of have to pick one and choose, because you're not going to bulk up or cut down 13 pounds within a reasonable competing season.
No, not safely or like shadily, maybe. But even that way, it isn't to anyone's advantage. It's to your detriment. Like, different can be more. You know what I'm saying? Like, different into your body. Like, if it's a different movement, it's a shock. It's like, it's how people that do weight training are like, man, I'm not seeing any gains. They switch up the exercise, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this is really, it's giving me the results I wanted. Because your body's, it's the shock and the response to it. So just because like, oh, I'm a little heavier now, I'm gonna be stronger. It's like, well, now you're gonna gas probably, because you have to carry that, and you're still in your mind, like you said before, like, we're very prideful. You still think you can do the shit you did when you were younger, or be lighter or heavier, whatever, stronger,
or in better shape because you've been lifting more often and not doing as much cardio. There's a lot of variables. There's a give and take. There's a positive and negative for a lot of different things, and you got to weigh those. And you're absolutely right. You got to be able to understand what changes are happening in your body and how that will translate onto the mat.
You can kind of look at a guy and, are they coming in early? Are they staying late? Are they asking questions, not just to interrupt in the middle of a technique to get attention, but like asking actual questions, like, and not just bullshitting. Like, are they actually, you can kind of tell based on like the, a couple things, like how are they going to do in competition? And a lot of times, you'll see a big change after the first competition. It's like, if lightning doesn't strike, if there isn't good luck, if they don't do well after that, you'll see an attitude change. Like, no, fuck that, I never want to lose like that again. I never want to lose again. And then all of a sudden, like, you'll see like instant maturity.
Yeah,
and it's cool. It's a cool evolution to see. It's cool to see like people's personal development. It's cool to see people going and facing a fear, and then, because dude, losing sucks really, really bad. But to actually go and to know that something's scary, to face it, and to have that personal hero's journey, that hero's tale of your, where you went, you faced something that you were afraid of and you overcame it, and having your arm raised and getting the medal or the belt or whatever it is, like, it feels amazing. It, like, just having that accomplishment, like, and the belts and stuff in jiu-jitsu are great, man. And like every single one was so important. I mean, my blue belt's like one of the best days of my life. And like, you'd think I'd say black, but the blue was like, that meant so much. Like, it was hard to get them back. You didn't see blue belts back in the day. It's like, you just didn't.
That white belt threshold that everyone wants to get out of.
Yeah.
There's that first big win.
It's the big jump.
Yeah, it's a validation for a lot of people to get that first belt. It's like, this is real. This is meaningful to them. Absolutely.
Yep. It was like, it felt like I was like really part of something. Like, I was really like I was like, okay, like, now when I'm doing stuff, I'm representing the academy. So dummy up, don't act like an asshole. And then like again, like you're there more now. It's like, okay, well, Mike actually has faith in me now. Like, okay, it's because it was very, very seldom you saw promotions back in the day that we have like annual ones where like a bunch of people get them at once. Like, it was not like this. It was random, and it would just be one dude, and like 6 or 8 months would go by, and like maybe one more or something. It was just very sparse. So that the events that we have annually, they're really cool. It's nice too that we don't like we were talking earlier about just like gym business and stuff. Had like a long text thing going, but about some places, like, they charge for stripes, they charge for tests, and some are very expensive.
Yeah, I think at Checkmat, aka, they do like tests, and then you pay like what, like $75-$80, and then they follow it up with like a seminar. And usually the seminar is kind of like to cope with the money that you paid, so it doesn't seem like you're just paying for your belt promotion.
Do people ever do they fail the test ever?
I don't know.
How many white belts do they have that are at like a black belt level because they don't want to?
This is a while though. This is
The miser white belt.
Like, man, what is his name? I feel terrible. I'm blaming my bum wheel on this. He white belt wrestler, but he's not a white belt.
Are you
The new guy, Ben?
Yeah,
Ben. How
he's
do
a
you?
wrestler.
Yeah.
he's fun to roll with.
Yeah, he's I mean, he's game. He's game to come out. I mean, he's new, and he's gonna get his blue belt pretty soon. I mean, he beat Paul in a really great match and Nogi, and he's just like these guys. All three of these guys, Gary and Tai Tai and Mr. Yago, they're hungry for knowledge. I mean, what Gary stood after with taking time away from Jake's family. But
way to go, Gary.
Gary, come on.
Jake's family understands.
Yeah, I mean it's scary. They special needs, right? He needs the help. But no, I mean, in all honesty, like he just like these guys are hungry to learn. They're asking questions, just like Clint said, not to interrupt, but to specifically help them out with. It's like helping out a kid in a math problem that they're just so close to being able to get it. And then you give them a little bit of an injection of like, hey, look at it this way. And it starts to click. I mean, look at Tyler in the last couple of years, not only just, him showing up more and him asking questions and being ready to go against the tough guys, but also competing. I mean, competing galvanized him into a much, much better jiu-jitsu guy in general, but obviously a competitor because he's gone out there and won a lot of tournaments. And Gary, especially in the last year or so, he's been putting the extra effort in and asking me a ton of questions, asking Jake a ton of questions. I'm sure he's asking Clint. And it's not just like, oh, ask a question. I got an answer, but like you can see him internalize it and apply it later on. And there's nothing better and nothing greater to get than working on that yourself. And there's nothing better than on my end helping out, coaching a little bit here and there by giving him something to work with. And Yago, he's pushing the envelope, and I'm happy. I've been bugging him forever to compete, and he finally, I don't know if he finally cracked or something happened, and Yago puts in the work, man. All three of these guys put in the work, and they help each other out. That's the biggest thing in this group. Like what Clint was saying, getting your blue belt, you felt like you're part of something, and that's what this group is. Not just us here, but everyone at the One World family and AK Sunnyvale. We're all there for each other. Everyone has their different goals. Not everyone's looking to compete on any regular basis or at all, but you're all there, to do jujitsu, and hopefully with Yago's looking for more competitions in the future, and that you can help to spread the hype a little bit and the encouragement, because I think that's what people need is like I said, not everyone's going to be doing 12 or 13 competitions a year like I do, or Tyler does a bunch. Gary's been doing a ton, but even 1 or 2, 3 a year where you balance it out, you work together as a group, and you work on strategy and the point system and these different things. You approach things differently. Your months leading up to that competition, you're training with a little bit more intensity, a little bit more focus. You're working your game plan. Then you go out there and you win or you lose. But at the end of the day, you're ready to learn. You're open for it, and then the next week or two, like you have something to work on, guaranteed. Even if you destroyed people, like you are going to have something to work on, and it's a beautiful thing. And that's where I think those people in the gyms that you see make those huge strides, they do both of those things. They ask meaningful questions, they try it out, they try to really internalize the concepts and everything, and then they compete. They put themselves out there, they test it out and see what happens. And it's great that these three guys are going out there and doing it.
Yeah, it's crazy. The old question of like, how do I get better at jiu-jitsu? Like, what do I do? And Mike would always answer with, mat time is the key. Mat time is the key. But in life, in business, in personal relationships, whatever, the answer is usually do more. take it. It's that you do not have a physical limitation. You guys have the minds for it, all you guys, and it's out there. Like it's not that there's a lack of opportunity. It's fucking, we live in America, and like the most prosperous time at the most prosperous location. You have access to some of the best people in the world, and like plane tickets aren't that expensive. You have LA. You have so many great gyms. Like going out, competing, staying late, coming early. Jason's been coming like double days at 6:30 a.m. for years now. It's been years. And like, yeah, the answer to everyone out there wondering how do you get better is it's the same with anything in life. Do more. Outwork your peers, outwork your competition, outwork yourself, do more than you thought you could. Push. And if you're not around people that are encouraging you to do that, get around people that do.
Absolutely. Make yourself 1% better the next day. What's that saying?
Yeah.
You want to push the envelope. Your body can handle it. There's a time and place, and when you need to get a rest period and stuff like that. But the threshold for your body, what it can take over time, not in just one day, but over time, is a lot greater than what people think. And it's just shut up and train.
It's like if you go, I don't know if people, I don't care if they get flu shots or not, but imagine you're getting a flu shot, right? If you cringe, you're like, oh, it's going to hurt. And you cringe, you tense your muscles up. It's going to hurt more. But you ever seen one of those kids where you can distract them with like a lollipop or a puppet? Kid takes a flu shot, just no cells, it just doesn't react at all. It's funny how that shit works. That kid isn't any tougher than the average adult. It's a fucking child. Just do it. But it's just a matter of, mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. Just, get your head in the game and you just go. You can do more than you thought you could. What are you going to die?
The cool thing is that there's always something to do. Even if you can't like physically train or make it to class, you can watch YouTube videos. Yeah. You can learn stuff from the internet. The internet's everywhere. Yeah. I mean, we live in a time where technology is just so accessible, and you can YouTube stuff. You can go on Facebook. You can hit up your friends to go train or something. There's always something you can do.
Oh, totally, man. I'm pretty sure I tore my MCL yesterday. Yeah. Right. Whatever. I tore the one on the other knee as a blue belt, I think. It sucked. It was like, it popped, and I yelled all loud like an idiot. But what it taught me, and I wanted to be on the mat, pretty soon after that happened. And so I didn't need surgery. It was a partial tear, thankfully. I don't want surgery if I can avoid it almost at all costs. Like I don't trust it. I got elbow surgery once. I woke up in the recovery room and there were like 10 other people recovering in the same room. And this is a nice hospital. This is nice. This is like with good PPO insurance. Yeah. And I'm looking around like, oh yeah, it's a business. Fuck this. I'm not doing this again. Like, unless something's dangling off of me, you're not cutting into my body. I'll try to heal it naturally first. There's ways to eat better and bring down inflammation and do the exercises, and you can do it a lot of times. I think a lot of surgery is unnecessary. However, what I did learn in having an injury, like a knee injury specifically, on my right knee, it was like, okay, first of all, I need to change how I train a little bit. I need to think about, okay, protect myself first. Second, how can I train without putting pressure on this knee? And that's like, I learned my open guard, because I'm like, De La Riva, I can wrap with my left leg and then use my right leg as a jab, almost like, okay, inside of the thigh, bicep, inside of the thigh, because it would just be straight. There'd be no pivoting motion at all. So just by having the injury, and while I was rehabbing it, like actively working on just open guard, where I would be kind of favoring and protecting it. And I wasn't competing at the time, but I was able to get out there and I was able to learn a new style of jiu-jitsu, an effective open guard, basically, where a lot of guys that are over 200 pounds, like, you're not going to see very technical guard work. And I was forced to like actually develop a guard, and it became something that has benefited me to this day, like big time. And now it's the other knee. So what's going to happen now? I'm going to my open guard on the other side, which I have neglected, admittingly. Like, that's been something like, cause I usually get the left De La Riva, where I'll get like the left spider, or I'll favor passing the one way. So now the other knee's bad. So now this leg becomes the jab, and the De La Riva, the hook, comes on with the right leg. So I'm not going to be able to close my guard. You can't torque your ankles, but so even if just drilling, there's always some opportunity. Like you said, man, there's always something.
strength training, running, sprints. There's always, you can improve your conditioning.
Swimming.
Swimming is really good. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Low impact.
That's a great mental state to have is, if I have an obstacle, that's just another way I can learn. I mean, that's sometimes it's almost needed, a paradigm shift in your style and in your game changing. That's where you learn. I think some people, especially wrestlers or, certain people will run into like, I'm a top sire. I'm not going to do the stupid guard thing or whatever. Like you have to learn those other things because one, it makes you better at doing those because you're going to get stuck in a guard sometimes, some variety, right? But also in the inverse, you can start thinking about what am I doing that's effective against them, or what happens when I'm trying to pass someone's guard and they're stopping me. You can start integrating that into your own game. It's really important. And like you said, like I hurt my knee, so now I'm going to start rolling a little bit different, and you start opening up more and more potential paths that you can go down on your jiu-jitsu path because you might have a really good guard, closed guard, hip bump sweep, whatnot, but you're going to run into a guy that shit doesn't work, like just doesn't. There's people out there, there's always someone better at that position or overall than you are, so you have to be able to flow to something else. And there's some people in the gym, in every gym, that they punch their time clock, they do their moves, and that's all they do. And if you beat their moves, then good job. If you don't, then I win, yay, right? But that's not where you get to become more of a complete jiu-jitsu artist. And that's awesome that you're taking an injury where some people would be like, woe is me as well. I'm going to take off 6 months and then I'm going to come back, and the regression is just drastic. It's like they just put on their belt all over again. But you're not allowing that to happen. And, you're being safe and smart, of course, but you're still developing your game. And in fact, you're probably improving your game because if you take your capability as a tree, you have your branches that you are really dark, colored in, those are your go-tos, and the smaller branches and the leaves that are really just darkened in, and these are kind of light over here because you don't ever get in those positions. Now, because of an injury or a concerted effort to work on working my guard and that kind of stuff, you start filling in the hole, and instead of looking like that Charlie Brown tree at Christmas, starts looking like a really solid tree that you want to take home.
Ooh, it's almost time to bust out that DVD, or you got to watch it every Christmas, right?
Charlie Brown's Christmas, yeah.
And I almost bought an ugly Christmas sweater, but they had an ugly Hanukkah sweater next to it.
Really?
It said so. It had. I went to a Kmart yesterday. Yes, I perfected time travel.
I haven't seen a Kmart in a while.
Right, I nailed time
Arizona?
travel. No, it's in Hayward. It was like right after it was on the way from your tournament over to One World. I saw Kmart. I'm like, you don't not stop. The light was. I was like, I went in. It was tremendous. It was just a mess. Like no one's cleaned in a while, and there was like these. They were like slipper booties for like children. They were Wonder Woman, Supergirl, and Batman. They were like Uggs, but they like looked like Batman's body, and they had a little cape.
Oh, sweet.
But they were like the shittiest material imaginable. Like it was like almost better than paper.
So did you?
Yeah, it's Kmart.
How many pairs did you get?
I would have needed like 4 to make one that would have fit my foot. But I was gonna buy one as a gift, and then they had these Hanukkah sweaters, and I'm. Full disclosure, like I'm not Jewish, but it said it reminded me of that the night before movie with Seth Rogen and James Franco, which is my new favorite Christmas movie because it's fucking hilarious. Have you seen it?
No.
Oh my God, watch it! It's great. It's it's the same guys that did the night before. It's fucking tremendous, and so Seth Rogen has this Hanukkah sweater, and it's sort of like it, but it's the Star of David. It's white and blue. It's like an ugly Christmas sweater, but then it has the menorahs, like the candle things, and it says like "Let's get lit," or like let's stay lit, or let's get lit, because they had the same thing for the Christmas lights on the Christmas tree, and then they had like the Jewish one. I was like, dude, I want this. It's like it's way cooler. I'm not even Jewish. I was like, that's a cool sweater. Like I'd rock that. Anyway, totally off topic. you mentioned the fucking Charlie Brown Christmas tree, and I'm a crazy person, so I turned it into that. See, that's what happens. Like that's real ADD right there.
I mean, at least that one made some logical sense.
Well, the progression is,
and we're changing stories.
the progression was you mentioned like, I was ready to interact with you on like a very like relevant level until you mentioned the Charlie Brown Christmas tree, and you triggered me.
I screwed it.
I was triggered.
I'm sorry, guys.
All right, man. So, Jason, like, what was your takeaway from being off a competition, getting back into it? Like, how did it feel? You had one moment where you were like, you wound up in mount. You were going for some kind of really brutal Ezekiel on the guy's face, and you had this like, I'm going to fucking kill you look on your face. Like, you look pissed.
I remember that. I remember because early morning, every time, get under the arm, get under their head, and just squeeze the shit out of them. And then I wanted to squeeze the shit out of them, and I did that.
The look on your face, like you're like seething. I was
kind of happy too. I mean, that's kind of I don't want to. You're not there. There's a lot of mutual respect in competition. That's one of the things I really like. But we're there. We're gonna go test each other. If he was in the same position, I mean, like, I'm not gonna blame him for squeezing my head off.
No,
we both signed up for it.
No, I embraced the violence. I thought it was fucking tremendous. I was getting a kick out of it.
I think this time though, like, the first time I did it, I think because I thought, I was like, oh well, I had a little bit of wrestling experience and stuff, but then again, totally different things. But at the time, I had a lot of expectations of myself that, like, when it just fell so like below that, I was just like, what happened? This is terrible. I'm never doing this again. This is the worst. And like this time, I was just out there. I'm like, hey, you know what? I just want to go test myself, and it was just really fun. Like that part's really good, and that's probably why I was making faces.
No, I was stoked. You were then at the end of it. They made you do a final match. You had to go against a guy you already beat. To the really big guy to determine.
He was built like a tank. I really wanted my guillotine. I couldn't get him.
It was double elimination, and I'm like, why are they making you beat the same guy twice? There's this number of people in the bracket. They did it in such a way that it's double elimination. But if you already beat them both, pretty much shouldn't they just fight for second and third? Like, you just want. But so I mentioned this to you, and you're just like pacing back and forth like the Terminator, line them up. I'll fucking kill all of them.
Right. You know what I really like about
I don't know how I got in that mindset. I was just.
That's great.
That's what you need to be. It's rolling with this guy for the last 6 months.
Maybe.
So that's what I saw. It was obviously absolute. It was obviously open weight, but you're one of the people that is game, that does actually push. Dave, like, you'll get caught and like you just go right back at him. Like you go. I watch you guys roll, and then you go against guys like Chad who could underhook a car.
I think he has actually unhooked a car, so there's no could on that.
He is so nice.
It was a Mini Cooper. I mean,
it was a Mini Cooper. It was a smart car.
Dude, I saw him at 24 Hour Fitness. I'm pretty sure he had like half a Mini Cooper on each side. Like, that was the best. And it was the old ones too. Like, so it was some heavier metals, I think. I don't know. That guy is so strong.
Yeah.
And man, I've been saying it for years. If he ever like loses his shit because he's so nice, if it ever goes the other way, I'm going.
No, you're not going to be there.
Well, I'm going to Nevada. We'd all be doomed because
I don't think Chad can get pissed. Like,
there's something in there.
Like, what pisses him off? You can't piss him off.
I don't know.
Like,
but I'm sure there's something.
Oh,
something weird.
Evil Chad would be a bad thing.
That'd be a bad thing.
Evil Chad.
The anti-Chad. Chad Vader.
Ooh. That'd be fun.
That's something I'd want to
He was like, oh, that'd be a good role.
That's a challenge right there.
Chad.
Yeah, Chad pissed off would be a challenge for anyone. Like, he's another one that should compete because for his size, he has a gas tank.
Yes.
He does not get tired. He shows up every day. Like, he's another one. Like, he should compete.
Absolutely.
He's got good fundamentals, and he'll underhook you. And even if someone goes to head and arm or darce him or something, you're gonna finish that.
No. I've tried plenty of times and it doesn't work.
No.
It's very difficult.
And he's smiling and making eye contact and being creepy on purpose too.
Puts in a little wink in there. I mean, like, Chad he's so calm with it too. He's rolling, he's rolling hard and stuff, and he just stays real calm. He's one person I would love to get to compete at least once. I would love to see him out there. Even if it doesn't go well with him, I think he would see a lot of things in himself.
His was a similar story to Jason, actually, and initially me, man. I didn't do that good competing at white belt, and I was like, nah, fuck this. Then I went again at blue, and I was like, I did all right. But like, it was nothing, and like, I wish I would have competed more. I wish I would have like just like been like, instead of like, no, fuck that, like it's scary. I wish I would have like been more tenacious about it and like kept going, because the ceiling would have like immediately parted ways. Like if I just would have stuck with it, like winning feels really fucking good.
Yep.
It's like the greatest motivator behind losing. And we had one person, a white belt with like very like limited experience. It's doing well, lost some matches and was pretty discouraged. And I'm like, hey, like, did you see how happy Jason looked? Like, did you see like how happy everybody was for him? Like that, like, yeah. I was like, well, like that didn't just start. Like he's been training a long time for him to get back out there and like we were saying, like the hero's tale, right? To be able to like climb that mountain and get there and be like, no, fuck that. I can do this. Fuck this. Like that. I have put in the work. I can be there, and he did it. And I'm like, don't you want that? Don't you want that for yourself? Like, yeah, like losing, you have to reflect honestly about like what happened, like watching the tapes, like we're doing like a podcast. It's not fighting in a mat or in a ring or anything, but I have to listen to this. And most people, you ever hear the sound of your own voice in the answering machine? Mm-hmm. Like, who the fuck is that? Like, oh, God. Dude, I'm so douchey. Like, but I have to listen to this and make sure it sounds okay, because if I'm not improving with each one, like, what are you doing?
What's the point?
Yeah. So with jiu-jitsu, you got to watch those matches, and like, no matter how fast it seemed, your match was way fucking slower.
Yeah,
it was way slower. And sometimes gi jiu-jitsu, watching those matches can feel like paint drying, but like if it's friends, family, teammates, which at this level is like all kind of the same thing. Like It's always exciting because like you're invested. You know what I mean? Like there's heart out there. So
it's good to get the support out there with each other. So Yago, what changed? Why this one?
Why this one?
And why not before?
Honestly, and I think Clint may refer to the person earlier, like one of the people from the early class, they went out, they hadn't competed like really at all or white belt, and they're just like, yeah, I'm going to go in the US Open. And I'm like, really? You could do some easier things before. They're like, no, I'm just going to do it. And like that, and then also a lot of the encouragement from the team too. But I think that was one thing that stuck out, and I was just like, holy shit. So I think separately, like kind of some friends of friends, like one of the friends of friends, like really good guy. I think he won his division in like Masters Worlds and stuff. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm in here rolling with killers like David Mitchell, Tyler. We got Gary over here, Clint. And it's just like, I'm gonna go with this person because like I also don't know what their game at all. I just met them, so I'm like, hey, let's just see what happens. I got beat up, but I'm like, dude, this guy won like Worlds, Masters, purple and brown. So I'm like, I'm gonna get back in there, and especially from early person just went out there and there's like they're gonna do it too, and it's like, hey, I think to really tie it in, it's like my team inspired me, and I mean just going out there and kind of just catching some just tough people that I didn't really know, just to kind of test myself a little bit. It kind of brought me back around to it. It's like, maybe I do kind of belong here. I can at least, worst comes to worst, I'll just turtle out the whole match. Then whatever, I didn't get tapped. But that's sort of what did it for me.
That's great.
I think they've been pretty good about getting more people to compete lately. I feel like in the past, maybe year or two, we got a lot more competitors.
It's this guy. He's out there doing it a lot and kind of taking that leadership role in the competition side of things. Vu competed quite a bit up to around like purple and brown belt, but like life took over. Like he's career Vu now. He's got like his commitment at home. He's got
almost Papa Vu.
Yeah, right.
He's gonna be dead.
And then Jake is there now. He's a family guy. Mike's running a business, teaching at multiple gyms. I mean, I just did US Open, but that's I hadn't competed in quite some time. So it's, you know, you have somebody like, you know, David's out there and he's really competing a lot. He's competitions in his nature. He grew up into it with wrestling and everything. So by him being out there and sort of, you know, getting One World's name out there, it's like, yeah, you guys, you got somebody to roll with, somebody that's operating at that level. You guys can go to as many open mats as you want to, but when you go back to your home gym, like, you need a group of you that are going to come in that odd day, like that Saturday. It's great that they have open mat over at Gion School, but that should be competition practice. That, like, there's enough open mats. You got Sunday open mat, Friday turns into an open mat. Like, there needs to be like a competition class where if you're not really going to compete, like, go home. Like, because like you need those long rounds, you need those matches, like mock matches. Like, I was talking to guys that were competing, and they're like, I'm like, well, how many matches have you had? Like, you know, just at the gym, you know, how many of you guys set up? Oh no, I was just gonna, you know, I was gonna do some striking or some cardio or something. I'm like, no, what the fuck? No, it's very specific stuff. Like, yeah. you got to be comfortable, you know, squaring off. And so we did that for Lale. We gave her matches with you. We gave her matches with Stang, which, you know, you guys didn't, you know, brutalize her. She's a newer white belt, but you still pushed her. You made her start standing, and you realized, like, oh, everybody's watching. It's just us going, and it's a thing. So at least we had that. But having something, you know, that we have enough open mats, right? And even if it is an open mat, like, that doesn't mean it has to be a marathon roll. It could just, you know, specifically. And you guys have the wrestling class, which is awesome, and it's definitely helping the guys that are going there with competing. Like, you didn't get taken down.
I got a sweet little double leg. I was pretty happy about
into
that.
The pole.
Into the pole.
Oh my God!
I killed some guy.
I was all gore. He Goldberg speared this dude into a load-bearing beam in the middle of Guerrilla Jiu Jitsu Academy in Pleasanton.
Is he okay?
Yeah, he was okay.
No, he was game. He got back.
He
up
finished the
and
match. I haven't seen him since. I wouldn't have wanted that.
Hey, thanks to you guys though, because when I saw that after, like, they're gonna have me start in full closed guard. And I heard you guys like, no, he just double legged.
Yeah, I was
you would
like,
not
no.
double leg him straight into guard.
Get out of here.
No,
they try to reset him in full guard. And I was like, no, let's knock that shit out. There's no way. So I was like, no. And then they started doing it in half guard. I was like, no. He was in on a double. You saw his head go into the pole.
Yeah.
Let's set him up like he's in a double. Okay, and then go.
I think some refs, I don't know what it is, but I mean, they just don't know.
They don't know the rules.
Reset.
They're not paying attention.
My friend, he competed yesterday, yesterday at the Jiu Jitsu World League. You know Troy, right?
Yeah.
You met him. He went against some kid, took him down, got him to the ground, and they went out of bounds. Ref reset them standing up. And then 2 seconds later, the kid flying triangles him. And it's like, what the hell, ref? You took him down.
See, if it was a submission attempt, so Gary had a submission on his opponent, they wound up out of bounds, but he didn't deliberately, like, roll out of bounds to avoid the submission. It just happened to be out of bounds. So what they did is gave 2 points and started them from the feet. Mm-hmm. So IBJJF, like, that's current.
Yeah.
With the takedown, if it ends out of bounds, it's up in the air. Like, the rules as of 2017, if you're in the foul line or the out of bounds line, you get an advantage.
I guess the Jiu Jitsu World League, the rules are probably a little bit different than
It generally depends on the perception of the takedown itself. So if you get a takedown and you secure the takedown, but it doesn't result in a guard or a side control position, they'll restart you back up.
Okay.
And then they might just award you an advantage unless you secure a full position inbounds.
If you take referee position like off of the takedown, like you take the back without hooks, you do get the takedown points.
Yes.
But yeah, if it rolls out of bounds, depending on where the takedown was initiated, there's a couple factors, but it could be no points at all. That happened in one of Elliot Kelly's matches at the San Jose Open last year. His opponent was like the same size as he was, and the mats were not big enough to accommodate 2 guys of that
size. They're big individuals.
They're both 6'2" and, like, 230, 200 and something pounds.
And in good shape too.
So every takedown was very active exchange. So when these guys would go for takedown, someone's feet are out of bounds. That's just how big. It's like you're diving into a 5-foot pool. You're probably gonna get hurt. Like, there's no space.
Yeah. I think it speaks a lot to the IBJJF rules. It's not really takedown friendly. It's much more guard related. So there's the rule set's not really defined well to give advantage to takedown attempts, and that's kind of it is what it is, right?
It's unfortunate. I think a lot of the rules wind up the way they do because there's a lot of children and to kind of protect the kids, but the rules wind up so being bled across to everyone, right? So there's
you can't have kids rules versus like too much. You restrict certain applications, but it's kind of has to be blanket across everyone, which is pretty unfortunate. I think there needs to be a revamping in some respects. I mean, unless everyone's comfortable with what it is right now. I think Jiu Jitsu World League has an interesting concept and approach to it with the higher amplitude, the takedown, you get more points, and there's also the stringing together points. Yeah. If you combo moves together, you get bonus points and so that. Yeah. So if you go to takedown right to pass, right to knee on belly, right to mount, you'd get like 2 extra points for the progression and stuff like that. It's pretty interesting. And I can't remember what the point system is, but like if you launch someone like a hip toss, you'll get extra points.
You get 4 points for that.
I think and which is pretty cool because in the current state in IBJJF, you hip toss someone right to side control, like you get 2 points. That's it. Yeah. I mean, you're in side control, of course, that's beautiful, but it's not I get side control points. It's I passed a guard points.
There's no such thing as side control points because it's like if you pass a guard, so you have to have been in a guard to pass a guard. And it's like there'll be a lot of situations where you describe that combination. And if there isn't like substantial time between the moves with IBJJF rules, you could get nothing.
Really?
You
get 2.
Imagine takedown, pop up knee on belly, step over, armbar. He escapes the armbar. You got nothing.
Yeah. Yep. Because you didn't secure it.
Yeah. Right. So you just, but what you're describing is a minimum of 2 points for the bonus, but you'd probably get those others in between.
Yep.
So it's very, it's very much the way they describe it is the IBJJF rule set is based on the progression of a fight and control, like position over submission being like emphasized.
I think Mike was talking about how fight to win, that sometimes they would favor submission attempts over actually getting control. Like they would give you a decision if you went more submission attempts versus actually getting knee on belly, passing the guard, mounting. Yeah,
that's in the rules. Yeah.
Well, they're trying to sell tickets, man. Like they want something that's entertaining to the crowd that also, is exciting. And, people that are leaning more towards the side of the rule set that favors sort of stalling, slowing things down. Like unless you are selling tickets to your friends, like that's not going to be something you ain't going to put asses in seats doing that.
Yep. And I mean, it's also a financial incentive to get submissions as well because it doubles the prize. Yeah. So I mean, it's great because it's not the same on a win. I'm 100% positive that the style of jiu-jitsu would be very different if there wasn't such a huge disparity in the payouts, for sure.
Oh, for sure. It's funny now when you watch no-gi competitors go against, not go against, but like if you watch a no-gi match and then you watch a gi match, it's like 2 different sports. Just watching the flow of it, watching the moves they're done, and even more so with that combat jiu-jitsu they're doing now. So if I was watching like one
slap jiu-jitsu,
Wagner Hosha got the first knockout. I was wondering when it was going to happen.
Knockout. You say knockout.
It was supposed to be a knockout. TKO. It was a TKO.
So what happened? Like you slapped him until
he slapped him so hard. The guy.
Where did you slap him in the cheek?
You ever palm strike somebody? You could throw.
I can do it right now.
Is it open?
It's
or
open.
Closed? Okay,
it's open. So
dude, but you hit him with your heel. That shit hurts,
slap
bro.
Really fucking hard.
No, man. Like you can throw this as hard as you want. It ain't
show
breaking.
You.
Yeah. Can you teach
I'll
me?
wait till after Friday.
After. Okay, not before.
I want you to win, and then I'll show you the slap.
All right.
I don't have statistics, but a fair number of those World Star Hip Hop videos where like baby mama's pissed and she rears back with the open hand. There's some KOs in there.
Okay.
I've seen
a lot of weight behind them too, though.
I've seen some baby mamas starch some dudes. like Sharkeisha. That's a palm strike, man. Sharkeisha's got a fucking.
It's just crazy. You get like the scrawniest kids that go in a fight and they can knock somebody out because it doesn't take much. all it takes is a fist. Like, people think that, oh, if I go in a street fight and I do MMA, I'm pretty secured on knocking this dude out. But all it takes is one blow. I mean, kids go out there swailing their arms around. As long as one punch gets your chin, that's it.
Any man with two hands has a fighting chance.
Yeah, really. I mean, unless you got boxing gloves on. That's
unless you have boxing. The open. If you were to take the gloves away from MMA, you would see less knockouts because like the first time you threw one of just like a huge overhand right, and this shit breaks, you ain't gonna do it again. Or you cut somebody in the forehead, you're not gonna do it again. So that open hand strike, you can throw this as hard as you want. It ain't breaking nothing, and all it has to do is touch a chin. That brain goes a little rattle, you're done. That's it. That's a flash knockout.
You'll find out after Friday.
I think combat jiu-jitsu is a cool kind of concept. It was fun to watch live. I don't know that not allowing strikes from standing is a good idea or a bad idea. I don't know that I want to watch standing slap boxing.
Yeah,
like
back and forth.
This sort of, I don't know, but. Man, there's some good stuff there. Boogeyman won his division a few months ago, whatever it was now, and then I guess Wagner Hosch is the first world champion of combat jiu-jitsu. Yeah, that guy's body triangle. I watched 2 hours of EBI and 2 hours of Wagner Hosch overtime at the last event. It was like the whole thing was his overtimes.
Did he win the EBI that just happened recently? The EBI 14.
He won the combat one.
The combat one.
I don't know the results of the one after.
Mixed up the numbers. The 14 was absolutes. That was yesterday.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
How was it?
It was really good.
Wasn't that
Gordon Ryan?
Gordon Ryan
won.
Oh, Gordon Ryan, yeah.
Overtime.
The last match was really exciting. I want spoils.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was really exciting.
Yeah, it was a good one.
The Aussie hillbilly.
Yeah, dude, that Aussie
guy's-
hillbilly.
He's a savage.
Like,
I bet you he's the one that taught that guy, the kangaroo, how to choke the other kangaroo out.
Who are we talking about?
Oh, that's
There's
right.
a kangaroo choking another
No, the
kangaroo
hillbilly.
out.
Craig Jones.
Craig Jones.
Craig Jones, the hillbilly.
Yeah.
Rear naked
he's-
pouch.
He actually almost armbarred, what's his name, Gordon Ryan.
Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
he's a beast.
that
He had a
looked
great showing in
really
ADCC.
deep. Yeah, no, he did.
He had a
was
fantastic showing.
What do you think about what was it? This Metamoris event they just did, Halacracy and Gordon Ryan.
There's
the
like
one where
14
he
people on the whole
called
thing.
That was like
Oh,
an
yeah.
in-house tournament, like 12 people around.
They need to kill those off
On,
because
like,
that guy's
wrestling
never
mats.
paying his debts.
Yeah,
ever.
Did he pay? Did he use the proceeds from this to actually pay the guys?
I'm sure he went negative again. Like there was literally
Nobody
people are
did.
saying firsthand. There's like 60 people max in the whole place.
It's a big ass academy too. That's not even the old Gracie Academy. This is the new state of the art.
Oh, that was the new one? I thought they didn't.
Yeah, they showed a picture of it
thought it
before,
was a new one.
before it was going, and there's like no one in the stands, and there's like these chairs just around this corner, and there's nothing.
If it's the old one, which is still a very large mat space, you have basically pull out bleachers. So if they fit 60 people in there and that like actually sitting in the bleachers, that would make sense if it was the old gym. If it's the new gym,
There's a bunch of chairs lined up around the mat, so I don't know. That's probably the new gym, but I saw a picture of it, and it looks like the time has passed for Metamoris's coolness. Because I mean EBI and even Submission Underground and Fight to Win Pro and all those other guys are doing it right.
Yeah, my favorite Metamoris event or memory anyway was Josh Barnett with the
Mine too.
the pro wrestling gear, the old the gotch or the Strangler Lewis inspired.
It was the boots versus Dean Lister, and like everyone was just talking shit. I was like, "Oh, dude, you're gonna get leg locked. You're gonna get leg locked." And then he got in there, dug those boots, and did that freaking. I don't know what would you call that?
It was
that
a
he got
compression.
The compression on him.
Yeah,
That it was a neck crank, man. Just a head and arm.
Just straight. I'm gonna take it, and you're not gonna stop me.
The chest compression?
Yeah, I thought
I don't know.
He was in basic of time and he was just
pain.
cranking
Yeah.
up on the neck.
was
Whatever it
hurt.
was, it
the
did not
head.
look like fun. Yeah, when it first started, it was fantastic. It was beautiful. There's some cool stuff, but I guess time had passed.
Yeah, you got to pay your fighters, man. That's all.
You got to pay your fighters. You got to pay the people that bring in people in the seats. Put butts in seats. You got to pay the people.
Yeah, and I mean, it was to the point where his whole, even the family was, dogging him and stuff. It's like, oh man, that sucks. But being an adult, at least pay the athletes, because they're putting it out there, they're putting it all online, and then to not get paid on top of that, like you're showing up, and the guys that lost too, it's like you get your ass kicked on TV and you're not getting paid. It's like, come on, guys. So,
yeah, I mean, you signed the contracts on that. It's like, be to your word.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the main event wasn't really a main event. Did anyone actually expect him to be competitive against Gordon fucking Ryan? Like, even a little? No, he's a world killer.
I think the poll was people wanted to see
him get destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, what happens when we throw a lamb against a lion?
I'll sign up for this.
Bye.
I bet you Josh Barnett in wrestling tights got paid.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you're not gonna not, because he's been dealing with guys like the Pride and the heyday of Pride.
Geez.
Yeah, you guarantee he's been burned before. It's not his first rodeo for sure. So
he's everything from Pancrase to old UFC before the Fertitas. Like, he's like the youngest UFC champion in history, and then he's also had to deal with like Japanese pro wrestling and like Pancrase promoters and shit. Like, yeah, that dude for sure is getting paid.
Oh yeah. And it's pretty cool though that nowadays you see those. I mean, this last weekend there was a bunch of stuff: the Submission Underground, the Fight to Win in LA, and a couple other, some the Fight League stuff and all this other stuff going on, MMA to jiu-jitsu, and it's going, becoming. I mean, obviously it's not even close to mainstream, but there's more avenues for non 1%er, 0.01 percenters to be able to compete at a high level against each other, and hopefully make a couple bucks to pay for your medical bills and such.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So with USA Wrestling, and I think with the US, like the Judo Federation, mm-hmm. Is there any kind of like health insurance for the wrestling side? Like, if you're part of is there like a union?
Yeah,
or is there
you join USA Wrestling and you train at the Olympic Training Center. Almost everyone does that. I mean, they might not be there the whole time, but that they'll have strength and conditioning coaches. You'll have all the facilities that you have at your disposal and stuff. And I know a couple of people in there. Shout out to one of my buddies, Morgan Flaherty. He's involved in helping out the team up there. He does training, Mogo training, and he's fantastic out there. And he helps train with them, and they have some help, but it's still guys trying to make it. It's the kind of sad and unfortunate truth with a lot of Olympic sports is, you're paying your way to get there. You're struggling and scraping by and not getting a whole lot of support from your country, which is just kind of sad, because there's a lot about pride, and people are glued to the TV with the Olympics, and they're like, oh, we want Olympic medals, and a lot of those people paid a lot of money and are not getting compensated for those, and then you have the many more that don't medal, and
What is it, like 10,000 for a gold medal or something from the U.S.?
Yeah, I think it's something like that. Wrestling's a little bit different. So the wrestling has an endowment. So there's these, this group of people. I can't remember, and I don't know the actual numbers, but I believe it's $250,000 for a gold medal in the men's.
Oh wow!
And then Jordan Burroughs, if he would have repeated, he would have gotten $500,000. Could fact check me on that, but at Worlds and Olympics, if you medal, you get a certain amount of money. Worlds is less than Olympics, obviously, for pretty obvious reasons, but you still get a decent chunk of change. But that's a couple of the people on the USA Wrestling team that there's only a couple of them are on from all the wrestlers that are doing it post college and post high school that are making any money from it. Most other people are not much at all.
Yeah, it seems like unless you're in one of the big flashy sports, FIFA abroad, the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball. Or hockey to a lesser degree, you're
Still make some money though.
Yeah, oh for sure, but comparatively,
Oh yeah. It's not those mega contracts that you see people making $25 million a year and stuff. Yeah,
250 grand, good money, and to a lot of people listening is like, fuck, man, I'd do anything for $250,000, life changing. It's like,
well, you sell your soul for that though.
Oh, and it's if you think of like how hard it is to get to that top level in amateur wrestling, to be a world champion or an Olympic gold medalist.
It's unbelievable.
It's not apples to apples. Like 250K is like, gee, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely helps for sure. But I mean, unless you're getting sponsorships and other things where your significant other's pulling in money, like that's a difficult lifestyle to be in. I mean, it's just the same, if not even more so than a lot of these other high-end jiu-jitsu guys are doing. Like you are, especially with the weight cutting aspect, because it is a huge deal in wrestling, because you can kind of overcome some of the weight differential, like if you're not cutting as much to do jiu-jitsu competition, because it's kind of evened out a little bit because of the quick time start right after your matches. You can kind of deal with a little bit of extra weight, but in wrestling, like it actually matters a lot. And you have almost all the high end top people have, a lot of professionals, nutritionists and athletic trainers and all these other things working with them to try to just eke out that extra, quarter pound. Like Helen Morales, forgive me if I mispronounce the name, just probably put together one of the most dominating women performances of all time with the worlds, where she like teched everyone, like everyone just literally destroyed the entire competition. And she also beat, I think it was going to be a 3-time defending gold medalist at the Olympics. And so she won the Olympics and then followed it up with the world title. And I was hearing a podcast, I think it was a Tim Ferriss podcast, about him talking to one of the doctors that's on her team to help out. And I mean, she goes through these crazy specific diets for, just to try to get down low, and she's going like borderline going to be collapsing and stuff like that, just to get to that perfect spot, because it's so hard to be able to make the weights and be at a razor thin edge to be that high level of an elite athlete and perform. It's an amazing feat. And I mean, just like in jiu-jitsu, there's not a lot of mainstream money to be made, and so oftentimes people do it because they love it.
In Western society, basically, where your value, your output is basically you're compensated financially. To reach that level, in wrestling, a world or Olympic champion, it's basically saying that's like you're dedicating your whole life to it.
Yes.
So it's basically that endowment is basically saying your whole life at its peak potential is worth a one-time lump sum payment of $250K. Unless you could do it again, then we'll give you more money.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
And that's only the top of the top of the top of the crowd of people that do it. I mean, you see it every year in any sport. I mean, it's the whole iceberg, effect, where there's a huge amount of people that are doing it that are not making any money, losing a lot of money, and there's that small percentage that are on top. But even that small percentage that's on top are not making that much money, especially when you're saying comparison to NBA, baseball and all that other stuff, which, the sport, it needs to grow, and it is growing. There's more and more IBJJF pros, and there's other the Sports Jiu-Jitsu Federation black belt gets this amount, and these super fights and the Fight to Win pros and stuff like that. These are all great for the sport because it allows more avenue. I mean, when before in the prior years would a brown belt and a purple belt be able to make any amount of money from a tournament?
Not in America.
Not here, no. And it's becoming a thing.
You'd have
Abu Dhabi.
Brazil, Abu Dhabi, but you have to qualify, and it's already. I mean, it's not like getting to the Olympics as a wrestler, but you do actually have to qualify.
Yep.
Or for Fight to Win, you have to have some proven track record that you perform, that you win, you compete, you fight, and then you still got to put asses in seats, still got to sell the tickets.
I think mostly it's just like if you're from the area? Because
No, it's from an area. So you have to apply,
yeah,
right? And then there's a selection process, right? They weed out people like this guy sucks, this guy, who the hell is this guy, blah, blah, blah. And then they'll bring in a list of, okay, these guys are past round 1. And then they'll try to see, okay, there's a purple belt and around the same weight class. Let's see if they want to do it.
So
and
they
then
look you up then?
that.
Because like when I applied, it's just like name, belt,
Yes,
age.
they look you up.
They literally look you up. A lot of like the black belts, like you don't need to look who.
not a lot, yeah.
You look up Nathan Mendelsohn, like you know who Nathan Mendelsohn
Yeah.
is. You look up Calterra, you know who Calterra is. So those people that are applying, those are obviously going to get passed along. And then you do some searching for the purple belts. You might ask. I mean, Seth Daniels is involved in the sport so much, and Mike Kellenboss that does fantastic photography. So if you ever need a photographer for any of that, just hit him up. He's at all these Fight to Wins or all the big, the world championships and that kind of stuff. And they're around. They have the pulse on everything. And if all else fails, they can hit up some of their coach contacts around there.
Yeah.
Like, hey, who is this guy? Oh yeah, he's a pretty tough guy. I've seen him on competitions and stuff like that. Especially if if you're placing at big tournaments, you're going to get your name out there, and that's why you get selected, and that's why you get selected for better matches and so on.
I know some pretty good guys that do compete that are at your belt level and like brown belt also that did not get picked. They applied and they said, yeah, not this time. They didn't have room for them.
Oh, okay.
And they applied probably around when you did. It wasn't like you got in, like, no, like they pick, like they match people up. You'll usually have they'll let you, like, here's a couple opponents. Like, this is one match we had in mind for you. Or if there's a couple, they'll run them by you and stuff. But yeah, if you're on the card, you got picked. Like they deliberately, that guy, he competes, blah blah blah. Like Mike Columbus photography takes awesome photos, but he also did a really cool thing. I just wanted to mention real quick for Houston. They have the Hurricanes down there. He's from Houston. He lives in Houston, and he put together that really big charity auction sort of thing and raised a lot of money for the guys down there. He made sure the money went to the actual victims of the hurricane, and so seeing and everybody in the community, everybody in the jiu-jitsu community, like you saw these huge names like donating, like not just private lessons but like financial stuff, and like sign this, sign that, and like it just raised a lot of money, like people auctioning off different things like private lessons with like Renzo Gracie or
I think Seth also did a Fight to Win where he took all the proceeds and rolled into it. I think they dubbed the thing Submit Harvey or something like that. Yeah, that was awesome. Like you're saying, there's big names, but not just a couple big names. There were, you can scroll through the list of all the private lessons that you can get and you can bid on them, and it was extensive, and it was awesome to see the the community come together.
One was Gary Tonin and Gordon Ryan, and you'd get like a private session with both of them for I think an hour or two, something like that. It was crazy. It was like the top of the top was on there, and just seeing people give when they have no obligation to use it or anything else. It's not a vanity thing because there's so many names associated with like. It's like there's 50 legends right here. Like, did you see them all? Like, or like a me too thing. Like, no, these guys are all doing it from the heart. It's a jiu-jitsu thing. Like, I don't know if other sports have it like this. But I feel like in lieu of there being like big financial, payment for doing jiu-jitsu, it's a passion thing. People do this because they love it.
Yeah, and it's easy to be a part of it too. As long as you're not a jerk and you're respectful when you go to other places. I know you do this all the time, go all over the place and train, and I try to go to other places and train with other people, and it's great because most places it's open arms. Yeah, come on in, roll with this guy. This he'd be a good matchup for you, and it's just from day one when I started at AKA Sunnyvale, I was helping out the wrestling program, and I was looking to work out, and came over to the jiu-jitsu, and boom, right away, like people welcomed me in, and it's been easy to be involved in it.
Yeah, it's very inclusive. It's like it's a big pack, it's a big family. It's like the last honest job. And when it ain't honest, it's obvious. It's real obvious. Like if there's a jerk or like a bad apple or whatever, nature takes its course, one way or another. They don't stay.
Yeah, and they taken out on their own. I mean, it's pretty abundantly clear when you go into the gym, like what people are and what people aren't gonna last. And it's not like we bully people out or anything else like that. It's just, that kind of mentality of being a jerk or a bad apple, like just doesn't mesh well and they bounce out, because some people are looking for different things. Some people are looking to be the alpha male, pick on people and stuff like that, and we that's not what we're looking for. We're all looking to raise the ship together. All the water raises all the ships around you, and that's what we're looking for in our gym.
Yeah, I mean, it's, it kind of falls the responsibility on like the senior guys, to basically to take the new people and, take them for a spin first. If there's ever a vibe or just any question about it, it's like, hey, hold on. Like, I'll match people up just to sort of see where they are and make sure whoever the new person is working with somebody that can protect themselves. Like, I'll sick Yago on the new guy if he's getting a little aggressive.
Yeah, that happened when that one big new guy threw a knee bar on like a tiny new person, and it was just like, what are you doing? And then Clint's like, go roll with that guy next. And then I may have DDT'd him. I don't remember exactly.
I may or may not have.
Allegedly.
I'm like...
But yeah, like at that point, it's like, what are you doing? You're bigger than the person, you know more, you're stronger, and you're throwing like actually pretty dangerous moves.
Yeah, on a not large person at all. And it was just like, okay, that's not okay. Let's just see how this goes. And it wasn't like Jason wasn't bullying the guy. And the guy fell somewhere between, our size or whatever. And I'm like, all right, I think Jason should handle this. This'll like give him a good idea of like what reality's about.
Yeah, you got to humble people sometimes, in a respectful and controlled manner. But sometimes you got to show them that you got to tone it down a notch and show them that like, hey, you can get hurt really bad if you're not careful with people. And so it's great you have the enforcer over there, Yago.
Little enforcer.
Yeah.
Is that a purr or a growl? I'm not sure which it is.
It's whatever you want.
It's not as creepy as the little kid from Stranger Things doing it.
Fair enough.
Because you got the one that got the teeth, but it sounded like it. Creepy. I don't know. There's like an hour, 40 million minutes and stuff in here. Awesome. Let's get in all the cheap plugs. I mean, let's plug our favorite stuff here.
We got the Fight to Win, guys.
We have Fight to Win Pro coming up Friday, December 8th.
December
8th, Friday. David Mitchell, Benji Silva, Tyler Shew against your opponent's name again.
Pablo Casiermo. I don't know how to say his last name.
Cool. Pablo.
Something like that. Pablo. Yeah, just Pablo.
So if you guys want to get any tickets, you can talk to Tyler Shew or I, David Mitchell. I'm sure you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, whatever
or go
else.
to cagetickets.com and select either me or David.
Yeah, make sure you're picking Fight to Win Pro 57 in San Jose. The doors open at 5. And fights will start at 6. I think ours are slated at Tyler's at about 7, at least right now, and I'm about 7:20ish. But I've heard from prior people that have gone there, get there early, stake out a seat and stuff like that, because it kind of fills up. And when you guys are out there, make sure you're cheering for us, and we'll see you.
And do you guys have VIP tickets still available, or just the GAs? Just
the GAs. If you want the VIP, you have to go online.
Go online.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are a great value. You get dedicated seats. You're sitting in a kind of a round table gimmick right up in front of the mat. There's no cage walls in the way, so you get a great view. You can, throw down that extra, couple bucks. These are strapping young gentlemen here, so you want to get a good look there of the kind of the future of the sport. Get up there, get you some VIP tickets at cagetix.com/something. Just Fight to Win.
Just hope David doesn't throw anyone at you. So.
Hey, that's why you buy those premium tickets.
Front row.
Right in the action.
It's better than an autograph. You get a sweaty nogi.
Sweaty ass right in your face.
All right.
I mean, people pay big money for Thunder Down Under.
The American version of an Australian classic, of a true staple of the Las Vegas Valley.
Yeah.
And
gotta get those thirsty.
Get the dollar bills out. Yeah.
To get those $2 bills like Portland, right? Y'all know.
Oh, Portland.
Gary, your ear. Did you fix your ear?
I have not fixed it.
Or did they let you buy syringes to actually drain it?
I was denied from 2 pharmacies.
Yeah, I was actually about to. So Wyman used. You remember Wyman? Wyman just got his black belt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So
Didn't he win a tournament recently? Over in New York? He's over in New York, right?
yeah, he moved to New York. He was like Bobby's first blue belt at AKA Sunnyvale, I think.
I think he just won a IBJJF New York or something open, and I saw he just got his black belt. It's awesome.
Yeah, he's over. I think at what's his Vitor Shaolin? Is it Shaolin or something like that?
That's a guy's name, yeah.
I don't know if that's where he's at, but that's the name, yes.
He'll be pissed. All right, yeah, we started training together like at Half's before Sunnyvale opened. Like, so I've known him for forever. But yeah, we were working on putting a supercharger on this car I had, and like we were hanging out a lot just like after training and stuff. And then one day he's like, "Man, I need to drain my ears." But I went to the pharmacy. I went to buy syringes, and they wouldn't sell them to me. I was like, "Really, dude? I've gone to CVS and like drained mine a couple times. Like, what are you talking about?" And he's like, "Could you?" So I was like his hall pass white dude. So I would like I would go to CVS and I'd
use what you got.
And I asked for like what he asked for, but not the way he did, wearing like gym clothes right after. And like he's pretty yoked for an Asian dude. Like you know what I'm saying? Like he's pretty jacked. And for I should say for a jiu-jitsu Asian dude. So I go over there and I asked for whatever, and the fucking things, we Googled what you needed. They were like the bigger ones with like the big old fat, like it was like a basketball pump.
Lancet, dude.
Well, like, yeah. And I'm like, well, here you go. And he's like, are you fucking serious? That's so racist. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, basically.
But they were $5.
I mean,
like, I don't tell you. Yeah, they sold them to me immediately, like without question.
RJ gave me a few that he said, I think, that he got from a pharmacy.
You want the ones like, I don't advocate anyone doing
30 gauge. I don't know.
Those are really small.
Yeah.
That isn't going to happen.
Google said 20 gauge.
Yeah.
Inversely proportional to size?
Yes.
Okay.
So the really thin one, the problem is like the stuff in there is like, it's not
too thick.
It's viscous, and depending on how long you wait, it just thickens and thickens.
Yeah, it becomes more scar tissue.
Yeah. So it's like pussy blood stuff. You got to get it out, but then you got to keep compression on it afterwards. Folder clips suck.
This is like inside my ear.
Oh, it's that one. That's where it starts. That's
not necessarily. It could start all over the place. Mine started toward the top of my ear.
Oh, really?
Yeah, mine was. I started off at Camp of Champions years ago, and it's like a 14-day or 16 whatever day like intensive. You were working out 3 days a week and stuff like that, and I started getting it really badly. And the camp counselors were stoked because they're like, yes, we get to drain it. And they were just pumped about it. So I got that one, drain. And then it subsided pretty decently and still had scar tissue. And then I came back and I was competing again. And then I went to the doctor after the season, but there's an off season after the high school season, but right before the off season. So I got it drained and they put a cast on it and then stitched through.
Like the mesh thing, huh?
Yeah, like a full on, and they stitched through it. And then I was like a couple weeks later and I could still feel it, a little bit, but it seemed like it was getting a little bit better. And then I called them up because I had folk style state championships. I was like, hey, can you remove this? And can I get a schedule for the following day or whatever and get it put back on? They're like, oh, no, you can't do that. That's not allowed, blah, blah, blah. We won't do it. I was like, okay, let me rephrase that. I'm going to take this off, whether you're going to help me or not, and I'm going to compete in this tournament, and then I'm going to come to you if and so they're like, we absolutely will not. So I took it off myself, and I competed in it, and then I went to my vet, because I was like volunteering at a vet office.
Yeah.
So I was like, I went in and I was like, hey, can you drain my ear, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, drain it. She's like, that's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life. And handed me a bag of needles. It was just never asked me to do that again. And that was it.
So for when you.
So moral of the story is go to your vet.
Okay.
You said like that's like somebody in like East LA dealing with gunshot wounds. Like the vets, like a lot of them get that shit in there. Like, we'll pay you cash. Like I know somebody in Southern California that they work in a vet's office and they get stuff like that from time to not drained. They don't get very many wrestlers, but they get people that don't want to go to a hospital because maybe a knife or some other weapon was involved, and whatever, and they'll offer to pay, and it's like you realize like I have to call the police now. Like you got to leave. You can't do it. It's crazy ass. But when you're fishing around in there, and I don't advocate anyone. I'm not an advocate of like doing these self sort of diagnostic or healing or self-surgical procedures at all. It's
pretty easy.
So disclaimer, this is fully like hypothetical and
you're very good at it.
and fictitious. I didn't do that. You do it. You gotta like kind of fish in there and find the pocket of fluid, and like you're in that ear for a little bit with the syringe, and that's why the small one doesn't do it. Like you need the thicker one. It doesn't have to be that long.
I tried last night. Didn't have a needle. Pharmacy was closed, so I used a sewing needle.
Yeah, that's
just started perforating it.
Stabbed it a bunch.
You made it worse.
I made it worse.
Yeah.
I did, I can tell.
Clearly.
Like this morning, it was bigger.
You're not going to be able to hear in a few years.
Just let it grow and blossom into a beautiful little collie.
Obstruction of my ear canal. Oh yeah.
I love the Apple AirPods thing. Like fits any ear, and it shows like Randy Couture or Dan Henderson's ears. Like
I'm not going in there. Not going in there.
Yeah, that's why I have over ear headphones only.
What if I just tape earbuds in overnight? Just tape them in, keep them taped in.
I mean, it's gonna the moment you take it out.
Why
and
not
go train.
earplugs?
he likes music.
That'll work.
He likes music. And he likes hearing my voice.
No, I'm saying because he wants to put pressure on the canal to keep it like
Open.
I mean, that
open.
could work. Yeah.
I think earplugs would probably do all right. Or you can do like my sister and put candy corn in there.
Candy corn. Oh, that's smart. Yeah.
I mean, that was
Just like
for being a little kid, yeah. Just stuck in there. Like, yeah, we're going to the hospital.
Like a good little, Tootsie Roll. Squeeze in there.
Oh man.
And that's about time.
Yep. Just train wreck that shit right there. So, fucking ear, throat, and eye specialist. Just go to one of those things.
go to
They'll help you
ENT.
out.
no appointments.
There's no
I
appointments.
called like several places. Everything was like a week or more out,
Oh.
which
Jeez.
is useless for this.
Yeah.
What insurance you have? Like separately. We can talk
PPO.
after. Oh.
Oh,
I always get Kaiser, and I just
they took
email
care
my
of that
lady.
stuff real quick.
Kaiser's awesome.
Yeah.
My doctor doesn't deal with my shit anymore. I just email her what I need.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I have a broken this, or oh, I have a this, and she just refers me right away. She doesn't bother seeing me ever again. Because each time she's just like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?
Perfect.
I mean, it's brilliant. I don't have to pay to see her. I don't have to like allocate my time out for that. And we established a relationship in day one. And she realized I'm a crazy person, and it's great.
yeah. Having a relationship with a sports medicine doctor, and just those old school house call doctors, what everybody needs, ideally. So
Tag and everything. Just rolling.
Just rolling. All right, what'd you do this time?
So like the doctor on that movie Crank with Jason Statham, where he's like, yeah, there's a little meth in there, no problem. You'll feel better for like an hour. You've got an hour in you before you die. But yeah, you don't need that. Just go find a good doctor.
Oh, if you get a good doctor and a good chiropractor, and you're set for life. Like Ernesto Medina, is
There you go.
brilliant, dude. Yeah, hit him up for any chiropractor need. He's great because he deals with jiu-jitsu guys. He does jiu-jitsu, so he understands. He's not gonna look at you like you're an idiot. He's just gonna think it. I mean, he's really good with it.
He's aware. He's crazy. He has the same kind of crazy as we do.
Yeah, he's one of the best people to go to because he understands. Him and Hanku, I mean, both of them do fantastic work, and I think every jiu-jitsu guy probably needs a chiropractor.
Oh, for sure. Ernesto has that. What do they call it? Like a neurological chiropractic neurologist type thing going on, because he knows a lot about concussions, a lot about brain health, a lot about the spine and the correlation between like your brain, spinal cord, spine, whole deal. And he can give you a lot of insight just on some on diet stuff. All kinds of stuff. He's been on here. I think we had a 3-hour deal one time. So if you go to the archives, Ernesto Medina, we talked a lot about concussions and sports and stuff and how it applies to it. That's where I got the bit earlier about dehydration, fat, and everything.
Yeah,
so.
no, that's very valid. He's good at pursuing, just like we do with our jiu-jitsu and everything, get better every day. He does that with his practice. It's awesome.
Yep, and then Hank Hu is if you're closer to the Sunnyvale, Cupertino area, he's a little closer. He's more traditional chiropractic, but both of them they know their stuff and they'll keep your back straight and all that stuff.
Hank's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, so he's been around the sport for a long time, so he knows all the ailments.
He's a tough man. He'll never tap to a choke. Ever.
He's a tough guy, He keeps coming in. I mean, he's getting up there in age, but he's still young at heart and still thumping those lower belts, putting them in their place.
Oh yeah, he'll fucking fight you.
Yeah,
it's a little war. A little off the air. If you guys haven't heard like why Hank got into jiu-jitsu already, if you haven't, ask him. And if you go see him, the people out there in podcast land, go see him and ask him why he got into jiu-jitsu. It's a really funny story, but it's not mine to tell. Anyway, for all my friends, colleagues, teammates, family members, training partners, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all that good stuff. Clint Cronin Show, David Mitchell, Tyler Shew, Jason Yago, Gary Menezes. Did I fuck it up?
That was perfect.
No, I fucked it up.
Menezes.
Menezes.
That was beautiful.
Menezes.
I got it.
That's exactly how my father's father says it.
Really?
Said it.
Dude, you just threw me on a paternity bus over here. All right, I gotta go. Later.
But
Subscribe.